that God has given. So the lifestyle that we live, numbers run lower. Okay, so we're going to measure the world by godly principle. So for glucose, normal range for normal glucose 65 to 99 milligrams percent. Borderline pre-diabetes is going to be between 100 to 125. And full-blown diabetes is going to be 126 and above. Amen?
You can go ahead and repeat those numbers again for those that are writing them down.
Okay, let's repeat again. And remember now, the American Diabetic Association will go from 70 to 110. We're not using their readings. We are using the readings based on our lifestyle. Because based on our lifestyle, when individuals have the numbers that we're recommending, they're less likely to be in a situation to have like heart disease or anything related to that. Are we making sense there? So normal range, 65 to 99 milligrams percent. Keep that in mind, 65 to 99. Okay, next thing, 100 pre-diabetes, 100 to 125. Full-blown diabetes, 126 and above. And remember now, if you want to convert it the other way, you're going to do what? Divide it by what? 18. And if you want to get it back to the original way, you times it by what? 18. Amen?
Perfect, perfect. Moving on with cholesterol, I actually have come to understand that cholesterol, in terms of the world, like you were saying, their numbers will run higher because they are on the standard American diet. And individuals, according to the Framingham study, which is found in your book, your textbook Health Power, will tell you that people that have what?
Come on. And if you just turn that, maybe the folks them can see you.
Okay, yes.
Amen?
It was individuals that had a cholesterol under 150
milligrams percent are less likely to have a heart attack.
Exactly.
Are we making sense, dear saints? And remember with your cholesterol ranges too, here are the values for your cholesterol. Are you ready for your values? Here are your values. According to American Heart Association, they would like to see your numbers less than 200 milligrams percent. But what we found is that individuals between 150 to 200, they still have heart attacks. At 180 and above, cholesterol deposits itself on your arterial wall. At 150 and below, based on the Framingham study, they have not seen anyone that has had a heart attack as a result of that. The two main carriers for your cholesterol, which we're aware of, is your LDL and your HDL. Your LDL, which is your low cholesterol, that should be less than 130, and for optimum health, less than 90. Your HDL for men should be 40 and above. At 75 and above, it protects the heart. HDL for women should be at 50 and above. Amen?
Yes, and you must know these values because as you're going to see them going through the different booths, let's say you're in Sunshine and you took their blood pressure and you see the values from before in Temperance. If you know the values off the top of your head, you'll be able to identify and see this person has high cholesterol, this person has high glucose readings, and by God's grace, we'll be able to help them when they come to the last booth. So that's why it's important to know the values themselves. And as
Sister Sarah just mentioned, with hypertension now, let me give you the values for hypertension that you'll understand what you're dealing with. Like with hypertension, here are your numbers again. And remember, they are the traditional American Heart Association numbers, and we recommend too that you take a more conservative position. You'll find that the lifestyle we live, blood pressure runs much lower on this lifestyle than on any traditional lifestyle. Does that make sense? So listen to this right here. For your blood pressure, here's how you want it. Normal blood pressure level should be less than, did you hear the emphasis? Less than 120 over 80, less than, okay? For optimum health, we'd love to see it even much lower. We'd like to see it about the 115 to 110 over 70 over 75, somewhere around that area. But for normal reading should be less than 120 over 80. Does that make sense?
So let's say let's say I'm 120 over 80, am I pre-hypertensive or not?
Well, good point. Technically speaking, if someone is at 120 over 80, Sister Sarah, they're heading in the wrong direction.
They are.
If they didn't sleep properly one night, they just fall over the fence. Okay?
Right.
So at 120 over 80, technically speaking, that would be high. It's a high normal.
Yes.
Am I making sense there? So at 120 over 80, you're high normal. Let me give you the pre-stage 1, stage 2 real quick. So for pre-hypertension, you're going to find that anything that's 121 to about 139. 121 to 139 over 80, you're prehypertensive. It doesn't make a difference if it's the diastolic or the systolic that is high. Any which one of them that is elevated, a diagnosis of prehypertension, and depending on the level of it, a diagnosis of either stage 1, stage 2 hypertension could be diagnosed. So let's go over the value. Any elevation in that blood pressure from 121 to 139, or anywhere from 81 to 89, any of those numbers that are elevated, that would be pre-hypertension. Okay, that would be pre-hypertension. Now you're going to stage 1. For stage 1, you're going to be at 140, anything 140 to 159, 140 to 159, or 90 to 99. Any numbers that exceed in those areas, whether or not it's the diastolic or the systolic, it could be just one number going that area, you fall right into that stage. Does that make sense? 140 to 159. Okay? And it could be 140 to 159 over 80. You're still considered stage 1. 140 to 159 over 90, you're still what? Amen. Guess what? You actually jumped over now to stage. No, you're still stage 1. Still stage 1, because from, listen good, from 90 to 99, you're still what? Stage 1. 100 and above, you're what? You're stage what? 2. You're stage 2. And from, no, not 1.5, that's diabetes. We're still in hypertension. And at 160 and above, over 100 and above, you're stage 2. Does that make sense, saints? And now listen to this. It could be that a person is 120 over 100. What is that person? Stage 2 still. Stage 2. It doesn't make a difference which one is elevated. Any one that is elevated, whichever level it's elevated in, that's the stage you fall into. So if someone is maybe, let's say someone is like 141 over 101. What are they? Stage 2. You go whichever one number falls in the highest category or the highest stage. Does that make sense? So keep that in mind. So should we go over those numbers one more time again for you? Are you okay? Who said they're okay? Who would like to go over it one more time, or are you fine? One more time? Okay, let's go over one more time. Normal should be less than what? 120 over 80. At 121 to 139, okay, or 80 to 81 to 89, you're considered what? Prehypertensive. Prehypertensive. Now, at 140 to 149, 140 to 159 over 90 to 99, stage what? 1. And at 160 and above, over 100 and above, stage what? 2. Does that make sense? To give you the numbers. Okay,
perfect,
Sister Sarah.
perfect. And along with temperance, since we are going to be doing, the nutrition is going to be the glucose, as you guys see on your sheet, the glucose and or cholesterol screening. The sunshine is where we do the blood pressure. But just to give you guys the numbers, in case you're wondering, when Sister Erica will be doing the exercise booth, when we're speaking in regards to body fat, let's say, Brother Luke, we have, for example, a really thin young lady that comes, right? And you know, she's thin, she looks nice, you know, it looks like nothing's wrong with her. And all of a sudden, she takes her body fat, and she's having levels over 30 even. What would you say to that person? What do you think is the problem many times with these young ladies?
Well, Sister Sarah, technically speaking, if I see her look slim and trim and, you know, whatever, I'll say she looks healthy to me. But based on the numbers, it will tell me that it's very likely she's not exercising.
Absolutely,
Okay?
absolutely.
So she might look slim and trim, but on the inside, it tells the tale.
Exactly. And not only that, but guys, you have to keep in mind what Brother Parks was saying. Because of the healing modalities of the world, the crash dieting many times, I remember even myself, I used to go 10 days fasting, you know, on these crazy diets. And I remember I was like, whoa, I
Oh,
lost
Sister
so much
Sarah,
weight.
you did those things?
Yes, I did. I remember. I
Oh,
actually
my.
fasted for 10 days. I remember.
Wow.
And actually, the thing was, I did not know when I started studying more into it. What I realized was I was actually losing all of the muscle because of the physiological process that have to occur when you're fasting, how the body has to utilize the muscle instead of the fat. So guess what happens? You're left with all the fat and your muscles.
You know, Sarah, I can tell you a story. I know of this person, right? And the person learned about the health message, made the changes, but did not implement the exercise, just
Oh,
like what you're saying.
amen.
And you know, and then all of a sudden the person came down nice and slim. But guess what? Because they weren't exercising, here's what the body did. The body says, can we go to the fat or the muscle to see which one wants to be burned? And the fat muscle says, don't you dare touch me. Don't you dare touch me. You go after the fat, the muscle. So all of a sudden, you know, start burning away the muscle, burning away the muscle. And then, like, for example, you know, one day the person probably went to church, you know, and when they sat in the chair, would you believe? They felt bones. Because there was no what? Muscle.
Oh man, that is some
Because the
serious
body
stuff.
already ate away what? All of the muscle.
And,
So,
and just go ahead.
So
There's a question
here's the
there?
thing. If someone does not exercise, it forces the body to do what? Eat muscle. Because fat is resilient.
It is. And in fact, when you develop more fat body cells, you guys know that you don't actually lose fat cells, right? They actually just shrink. So just to kind of give you guys an idea, many times when we see people and we're like, oh, they can lose weight, you know, it's not a big deal. It's a serious thing because it's going to take what? Time, because nature's process of healing in a building is what?
Gradual. And to the
Amen.
impatient, it seems how? Slow.
Slow.
And remember this now too. And that's where you got to be cautious and temperate with the amount of fat you intake. Because for
nuts.
every 3,500 calories above your daily caloric intake, it adds how much to you? 1 pound. 1 pound. 1 pound.
Exactly. And
So-
you know what? I would much rather take God's plan in terms of weight loss than take the world's plan.
Oh,
because what
blessings.
happens? What does the enemy do? He promises you the world and then he takes it away from you. So just to keep in mind the type of people that you will be dealing with as you see them come and people on crash diets, all sorts of cleanses, fast, just go ahead and advise them to follow God's plan instead. Amen? Okay, perfect. Our next one is actually exercise. When in terms of the practical things, guys, I don't know about you guys, but for me, I learned practical things watching them. So what we're going to do at this Health Expo is here, we're not necessarily going to show you here exactly how to do everything, right? But when you're there and you have the leader of the certain booth, as you're watching them and you see them interacting with the people and doing the actual assessment, like for example, weighing them or doing the cholesterol screening or taking their height, you'll be able to catch on pretty quick.
And as Sister Sarah talked about like weighing them and so forth, now saints, to do the body fat, guess how they have to be barefoot. Yeah. And so what does that mean? They have to take off their shoes and
So you have to
everything.
clean.
But remember this now. After each person, what needs to take place? Cleaning, sanitizing that area. So keep in mind that we have to be sanitary when dealing with these individuals. We got to make sure we go in and clean up after each person to make sure that the scale is properly clean so there's no bacteria or viruses that are transmitted back and forth.
Amen.
All making sense here.
Yes,
Oh,
we
amen.
are. Our next one is the air booth. And all of us, as we were hearing Dr. Parks, Elder Parks talk about yoga and all these exercises, all these things people do out in the world, since we do not have, I don't know if we will be having them. In most cases for the air booth, they have what's called peak flow meters, which they measure how much air, how much you can expand, and it's a good marker for us to determine really how your respiration rate is doing. And so what we're going to do this time, if we don't get those, we're going to just do simple. We're going to go ahead and just do some breathing exercises with the people.
Amen.
as we were learning, you guys